We will go ahead and get started. My name is Cheryl Pemberton. I'm glad you all could be with us tonight. I want to take a moment to introduce you to our presenter tonight, Lindsay Robinson. And Lindsay is a registered dietitian with the North Kansas City Hospital. And in case you haven't registered, she does have another program with us in May, on May 13th. It is Heart Healthy Eating on the Go. So I will include that link in tomorrow's email. And thank you so much for joining us tonight, Lindsay.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm definitely excited about tonight's topic. And tonight we're going to be talking about nutrition as we age. So let's dive in. Awesome. So I kind of like to start this uh, presentation with, why is nutrition even important? Um, and it's because aging does change our nutrition needs. It's not the same as it used to be when we were younger. And better nutrition is important for fueling and nourishing our bodies while also protecting against disease. Lots of benefits, whether nutrition can improve our cholesterol, it also improves inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, promotes heart health, helps maintain a healthy weight, and reduces the risk of Parkinson's disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and various forms of cancer. So, to really kind of start with the basics of nutrition, there's three main food groups in our diet. And these are also called our macronutrients. And these are nutrients in food that provide us with calories and energy. And these are our proteins, our fats, and our carbohydrates. So protein is going to come from your meat, fish, eggs, dairy products, beans, nuts, seeds, nut butters like peanut butter, almond butter. We do need protein in our diet. It's required for tissue repair, building lean muscle mass, immune system function, keeping us full, and pretty much the basic building blocks for everything in our. And then we have our fats like our oils, butters, margarines, salad dressings, nuts, seeds, avocados. We need fat. It's a slow burning source of energy and it helps us absorb all these important vitamins and minerals and it keeps us full. And then we have our carbohydrates, which will come from a lot of our grains like bread, rice, pasta, fruit, milk, yogurt, our beans, and then our starchy vegetables, which are potatoes, corn, and peas, and a lot of our sweet snack foods. But the body does need carbs. The primary function is to provide energy for the body, especially to our brain and our nervous system. So I would say as we age, it's really important because each of these macronutrients does serve a purpose, and we really need all three in our diet. And just any eating plan or diet out there that eliminates one of these macronutrients is not a good sustainable eating plan. And we also want to make this enjoyable. But the other end of the spectrum, anything in excess does get stored as fat. So it's kind of moderation of all foods is key as we age. So in the protein side of things, there's definitely more nutritious proteins we can choose more often, and other proteins we want to kind of limit less often. So we really want to focus on how can we add more nutritious things in versus just cutting things out because we can't just not eat. So doing more of your leaner proteins, whether that's red meat, like 90% lean beef or more, skinless chicken, pork chops, turkey, fish and seafood, eggs. Red meat is still great, just doing more of those rounded loin cuts, like a sirloin, tenderloin, pork loin, beef round, or just doing whatever percent lean beef and draining the fat. Trimming the visible fat as well. But these types of proteins are lower in saturated fat, which is going to be good for our heart health. But we also have some plant-based options as well, just to kind of give us a little bit more variety, break it up a little bit so you don't get so burnt out on the same protein foods. Plus, a lot of times these protein plant-based options are a lot cheaper. So you have like your beans, lentils, your soy products like tofu, edamame, tempeh, nut seeds, nut butters, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, and quinoa. Quinoa is a little bit lower on the protein side of things, but it will give you more protein than some of your other foods. So we do want to limit your intake of processed meats like deli meat, bacon, bologna, sausage, hot dogs, turkey sausage. These are tend to be more higher in salt, higher in saturated fat, which just isn't great for our heart health, organs, and in large amounts can just cause inflammation. So making the healthier swap to more of those leaner proteins. but also choosing more of your lean cooking methods. Bake, broil, grill, steam, poach, saute, air frying. Those are all great ways to prepare proteins, but really all foods, those are great cooking methods. Just really wanting to limit deep fat frying. We'll talk a little bit more about portions too, but we ideally want to make 1/4 of our plate protein each time we eat. We talked all, a little bit. Protein does a lot for the body, but one of the main things as we age is protein really helps maintain our muscle mass. And having muscle mass is important because we tend to lose it as we get older. And that muscle protects our bones. And as we age, we're at risk for falls. So the more muscle, the better to protect our bones, since we're at an increased risk of falling. So, but too much protein isn't good. So this is kind of the fine line of you're getting the benefit for muscle mass and other things, but you're not doing too much protein. So about 1/4 of your plate at most meals. And then with fats, we want to limit saturated fats and trans fats. Trans fats have actually been banned in our food products. So good news, they're no longer lingering in there. But the products that used to have trans fats just now have saturated fats. But we do want to limit saturated fats because they can increase the risk of heart disease. They're typically solid at room temperature. So you think about your butter being solid at room temperature, margarine, coconut oil, those high fat meats like the bacon fat, it all solidifies at that room temp. And that's how it sits in our arteries. And large amounts can clog them up. So just limit, not avoid, because there's no food that's horrible for us that we have to cut out of our diet. And then your whole fat dairy would also fall under this category as well. So making that healthier swap to more of our unsaturated fats, because these can reduce the risk of heart disease, be more anti-inflammatory. And then these would be anything liquid at room temp. So you think about all those other cooking oils, olive oil, avocado oil, peanut oil, vegetable oil. Those are all going to be good for your heart. They just flow right through. They don't clog them up. Nuts, seeds, avocados, these are also some good heart protective fats. And then making the healthier swap from the dairy, doing more of your low fat yogurt, low fat cottage cheese, 1% or skim milks. And to talk a little bit more about dairy, dairy is important. We want to try to get a small serving of dairy with most meals because it's a great source of calcium, and that really is going to help protect our bones and our teeth. But we do want to do more of our low fat options like skim or 1% milk, whether that's milk, yogurt, or cottage cheese. Consider plain Greek yogurt or like a low fat yogurt. If you're doing a plain Greek yogurt, it pretty much tastes like sour cream. So you can either use it as a sour cream substitute, but if you want to use it more of like a sweet yogurt, you can really need to doctor it up with maybe some fruit, granola, and a little bit of honey. Or if you're not a Greek yogurt person, doing like a low fat plain yogurt and sweeten it a little bit yourself. But they do make like sweetened Greek yogurts, which are pretty tasty as well. With the dairy, we just want to limit more of our processed cheeses, like the canned cheese or like quesos or, American sliced cheese. But when you get so nitpicky comparing cheddar versus Swiss versus mozzarella, they're kind of all the same. Some may have a little less fat, but they tend to be higher salt. But then the ones that tend to have a little less salt may have more fat. So grand scheme of things, do whatever cheese you prefer taste bud wise, and just anything in excess isn't good because too much dairy does have saturated fat. And, with the getting a small serving of dairy at meals, this could also count towards your protein because this gives you a little bit of calcium, but it's also a good protein source. Calcium and vitamin D go hand in hand. So vitamin D is really important. It's our sunshine vitamin, but it's really difficult to get through diet alone. We do get it in fatty fish, like all your fish and seafood, like salmon, mackerel, herring, tuna. Cheese will also have vitamin D, eggs, and then certain fortified products. So they go and they add vitamin D to milk, yogurt, cereals, and juices. And vitamin D is important because it enhances the absorption of calcium and phosphorus to maintain our bone health, strength, and our immune system. And low levels of vitamin D have increased risk, people's risk for falls, fractures, and osteoporosis. And low levels are linked to decreased cognitive function and depression. And two, vitamin D synthesis decreases as we age. And many people are deficient in vitamin D and have no idea. And even, young adults, it's really common for a lot of people to be low in vitamin D, but especially as we age. So we do want to get labs checked yearly. So talking to your healthcare provider, your doctor, PCP, making sure they're checking your vitamin D, because sometimes doctors will check it, but it's not necessarily a part of a routine lab unless they're thinking about it or unless you ask about it. But any too much vitamins and minerals are not good for us. So it's called vitamin toxicity. And so too much of vitamin D, A, E, and K can actually accumulate in our liver. So that's why we want to get our labs checked before we just take some vitamin D supplements, because too much isn't great. If you take too much vitamin B and C, you'll just pee it out, but why pee out the money in the sense? So depending on what your vitamin D is, your doctor will prescribe a certain amount of vitamin D. So you want to talk to them on that one. So our carbohydrates, doing more of the nutritious swap to more of our complex carbs, like our whole grains, beans, legumes, fruits, and those starchy vegetables. So those peas, corn, potatoes. These types of carbs just have more vitamins, minerals, and fiber to keep you full, specifically iron and B vitamins. And limit the simple carbs like your juice, soda, sugar, candy, white breads, white pastas. They're just more processed. And in the processing, they take out a lot of nutrients and they don't always add them back in. More added sugar, more sodium. But again, just limit, not avoid. And the key with carbs is moderation. So yeah, we don't want to do a high carb diet, but it doesn't need to be the other end of you can't eat them. So just eating meat and vegetables. Because remember, this is our energy source and we definitely need our energy. So kind of a good portion on carbs would be making a fourth of your plate, a lot of those grains, like your whole grains and the starchy vegetables, and then about a fourth of your plate would be your fruit. And then we have our non-starchy vegetables. All vegetables are great for you. It's just peas, corn, potatoes give you carbs, and all the other ones don't. It's not that broccoli is better than potatoes. It's just they're two different things. But all of our vegetables are great, anti-inflammatory, lots of vitamins, minerals, and fiber. But we do want to have larger portions of our non-starchy vegetables, like your lettuce, tomato, cucumber, broccoli, spinach, carrots, bell peppers, zucchini, mushrooms, so on and so forth. So these have pretty much low to no carbs, lots of water, fiber to keep you full and control portions elsewhere. And there's a bunch of nutritious options. I mean, vegetables and a lot of our foods, which we'll talk about as well. Fresh, frozen, and canned are all nutritious. It's just, what do you prefer taste bud wise, budget wise, convenience wise? It doesn't always have to be buying a fresh zucchini, cutting it up, roasting it in the oven. It certainly can because I do love zucchini, but it can also be, buying just a fresh cucumber and having as is, whether it's buying like a 5-minute bag of frozen broccoli or a can of green beans. So there's a lot of nutritious options there. If you are doing more of your canned vegetables, try to get the canned no salt added so you're not getting all the salt. Or you can always rinse them off in a colander to get some of that salt off. Trying to include these daily in our meals. So this would be about a fourth of our plate at most meals to kind of give us somewhere to begin on portions. But let's talk quick, easy, convenient, because who doesn't love quick, easy, convenient? And so just to give you a variety of options to choose from, fresh, frozen, canned, it's all nutritious. And there's, I would say, going to be healthy options in the proteins and the grains, fruits, and vegetables in all of these categories. So some ideas to kind of consider: the 5-minute steamable vegetables. Go to your frozen section, see what they have. They're going to have, frozen chicken, they'll have frozen fruit, frozen vegetables, but you can get a lot of vegetables. Just pop them in the microwave for 5 minutes. Frozen fruit, whether that's berries, bananas, mangoes, pineapple. You can get a lot of different frozen berries, and which is kind of fun, especially when something's not in season and you want that fruit. A lot of times it's a good price in the frozen section. And a great way to kind of maybe incorporate some frozen fruit is serve it with yogurt. Because sometimes when it melts, it has, maybe a little bit water. Mixing with yogurt, oatmeal smoothies, you really can't tell a difference. Um, Frozen protein. I mean, they make chicken breast. You can get frozen beef patties, shrimp, tilapia, salmon patties. I mean, you can buy those fresh as well. And I mean, they make canned tuna, they make canned chicken. Those are some quick, great convenient options too. But there's nothing better than I like the salmon patties, just 5 minutes on the stovetop. Frozen meals. So frozen meals are really nice because they're quick, easy, grab and go. But sometimes they can be not always a balanced meal, or they can sometimes be a little bit higher on the sodium, lots of saturated fat. So Healthy Choice has a lot of really great options. I went through and kind of looked at all the different frozen meals that are on the market, and overall Healthy Choice had a really good, incorporating things that we've talked about so far, good variety, balanced meals. But my bone to pick up with frozen meals is they're so tiny. So they're great, but you may have to add food to it to make it a whole meal. So really those frozen meals are kind of more of like a snack. And we'll talk about kind of how to make them more balanced as well. But Healthy Choice does make a max option called Healthy Choice Max. And that's actually like a whole meal. But when products are always changing, but there was only 3 varieties of the max. So they're kind of hard to find. But if you find them, they're great. And vegetables, salad kits or those salad bags. Those can be just, they already have they have dressing for you, but they already have, some, you know, like cheese or dried fruit or nuts to kind of already add to it. So if you don't really feel like doing a vegetable dinner, just grab a 5-minute frozen bag or do a salad kit. And you can also buy your fruits and vegetables pre-sliced in the produce section. Because I always like to get the pre-sliced watermelon because my husband and I can't eat a whole entire watermelon. So doing more of like a half watermelon that's pre-sliced is a great way to enjoy it. Canned beans, whether you get like you make your own beans in the crock pot, or just a dollar can of black beans, pinto beans. Same thing, canned fruit. Just try to get it canned in water so you're not getting all the heavy syrups. And then those canned, no salt added vegetables, or getting the regular canned and rinsing it off with water. And then convenience on the grain side of things. They make 7-minute instant brown rice in like a big box, but they also make like little individual cups of 1-minute instant brown rice. And I mean your whole grain bread. That's already pre-sliced, easy grab and go there. And dried fruit. A lot of our dried fruit is sweetened with a lot of added sugar. So they do make some nice unsweetened dried fruit, and it'll say that on the package. Or shooting for something with 0 grams of added sugar. But yeah, I would say, there's so many more options besides this. So just knowing that fresh, frozen, and canned with anything, that there's going to be a healthy swap. It doesn't always have to be fresh. So the plate method, this can help us monitor portion sizes, tell us what foods to have on a plate, and build a balanced meal. So making 1/4 of our plate fruits, about 1/4 of our plate non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 grains, and 1/4 protein with a serving of dairy is kind of an ideal meal. Now our plate does not need to look like this 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. But just to kind of give you an idea of, we want to try to get these types of foods in when we can, and just some ballpark range for portions. Another way I encourage people to use this is more of like a checklist, because a lot of times our foods are mixed together. Like think about a bowl of chili, a stir fry, a casserole, has a lot of those components, but it's already mixed together. So just kind of ask yourself, how can I get most of these categories in most meals, versus feeling like you have to section it off like. And 2, we want to eat a variety of foods at mealtime. It's not just beneficial for eating carbs for breakfast, protein only for lunch. We want to make sure we're getting the variety and the balance, because carbs are great, but carbs give you energy, but carbs don't keep you full. Protein and fat are more filling, but they're not giving you that energy. Plus, to help with portion control in each of these macronutrients, to kind of put them together. So ideally trying to get some sort of high fiber carbohydrate with a lean protein, or a high fiber carbohydrate with an unsaturated fat. And I have lots of meal and snack ideas for you guys. And you guys, yes, we'll be getting this PowerPoint to reference back to this. But that can be like a banana with some yogurt to get that calcium in. Or that could be like some grapes and cheese, or potatoes and some meat, or hummus and some vegetables. So just kind of focus on how we can add things in versus take things away. And trying to include fruits and vegetables daily into meals and snacks. So you don't have to get both every single time you eat, but just kind of ask yourself, is there a way I could add a fruit to this breakfast? Is there a way I can add a vegetable to this lunch and maybe a fruit to my snack? Versus, because we can just be doing meat and potatoes, cheese and crackers, but it's maybe, could I add, grapes with the cheese and crackers? Could I add a bag salad with my meat and my potatoes? So just something to kind of think about. And you can honestly eat however many meals and snacks you want in a day. It's really giving yourself the flexibility of everyone's different. Listen to your body. So we kind of want to eat about every 2 to 5 hours during the day, 2 hours to give your body a chance to break down your foods. But when you go longer than 5 hours, that's when we tend to overeat. We tend to get really tired. So just to kind of keep our energy up, portion control, metabolism going, to eat about every 2 to 5 hours. Listening to your body's hunger and fullness cues. Your body will produce hunger and fullness cues to let us know, do we need to eat more? Do we need to eat less? And kind of when to stop. So some people get hungry every 2 to 3 hours. That's okay. Have a snack, have something to eat. But some people can go 8 hours without eating and they don't feel hungry. And so it's kind of the balance of, I want you to listen to your body, but maybe have something if you're going longer than 5 hours without eating. Plus, if we don't eat enough during the day, our body tries to play catch up at night, and then we're starving and ravenous. Because the goal is to fuel and nourish our body. We can't just not eat. Like I said, our body's going to play catch up. So how can we do more nourishing things to mentally feel good and physically feel good? And we often eat a lot faster, and we often eat a lot more when we're super hungry. And there's no time of day you have to stop eating. That's kind of a bogus myth that's out there. Not that I care about too much. You have to count 12-hour fast every night, but just to give you the flexibility of there's not if you're eating at 8 a.m., it's okay to have an 8 p.m. snack. Just your body does want about a 12-hour break from the last time you eat to the first time the next day. And if you don't get this, it's not going to make or break anything. It's just maybe what we're having as an evening snack. But I'm a person, I eat dinner really early. I eat dinner at 4:30. So 6:30, 7 to 8, when it rolls around, I'm gonna need a snack. So yeah, someone who eats really early, but if you're eating really late in the day, maybe consider doing like an afternoon snack. So here are some of those snack ideas. Again, you're going to be getting this email to you, and modify this, change this up to what you like. But these are just some ideas on how to incorporate a lot of the things we've talked about so far. So a really common snack, which is a really healthy snack too, is like pineapple or peaches and cottage cheese. So whether you do fresh pineapple and peaches or canned, banana and peanut butter, doing like an unsweetened applesauce and a string cheese. The convenience there, you can get unsweetened applesauce cups. You can get those pre-made string cheeses. You could always get like a block of cheese, cut it up, portion that out, which is great, but sometimes more for the convenience sake of it, you just can get a string cheese. And honestly, view week to week differently. Some weeks I'll have more time in the kitchen and I feel like maybe putting some things together. But other times, if I just don't feel like it or have time, it's going to be buying more of those things pre-made for me. It can maybe be a half a turkey sandwich on some whole wheat bread, some unsweetened dried apricots, maybe some cashews, doing like cracker and hard boiled eggs. And doing some hard boiled eggs are kind of a nice, maybe not right now with the whole egg situation going on, but down the line a little bit, just boiling a dozen eggs and just having it ready for a quick, easy grab and go snack throughout the week. Maybe do some Greek yogurt and some frozen berries, carrots and guacamole, hummus and cucumbers, but you change it up to what you like too. Just want to mention fiber, just because it does so much for us. Fiber is going to be important in bettering our heart health, lowering our LDL cholesterol, because it's the LDL cholesterol that in large amounts can build up plaque in our arteries. It can lower our blood pressure, promote bowel regularity, balance blood sugars, keep us full, and help with weight loss. And especially as we age, sometimes our bowels do change, and along with our blood sugars can definitely change. So eating more fiber is going to be better for all those things. So definitely wanting to eat those high fiber foods, which really come from a lot of our carbs. So those whole grains, beans, legumes, fruits, but then both the starchy and the non-starchy vegetables will have fiber. Not that you need to count how much fiber you eat in a day, but sometimes knowing the numbers can kind of help give us more of an indicator on what should I keep doing? What do I need to maybe, am I getting too much fiber? Or is there a way I need to incorporate more fiber in my diet? But men, we need about 35 grams a day, women about 25 grams a day. But this number is so subjective. I mean, I know some people that need up to 40 grams of fiber. Some people need maybe 10 to 15 grams of fiber a day. So it's kind of what is helping you accomplish your health goals, but feeling good, because too much fiber can cause bad GI side effects. So if you're trying to increase more fiber, you're wanting to work towards that, gradually increase it over time. Don't start eating really high fiber starting tonight, because too much fiber at once, again, is not going to be happy for your GI system. Picking whole grains. I wanted to touch a little bit on this because I feel like our bread aisle is very overwhelming and confusing because there's all these different products that are out there. And so when picking whole grains, we want to eat more of those whole wheat, whole grains. And it's actually the same thing. Whole wheat, whole grain, same thing. But when you're looking for whole grain products, whether that be like bread, oh, what are some other crackers, English muffins, things like that, you want the first ingredient to say whole. That can be whole wheat, that can be whole grain, same thing. But if the first word is enriched or refined, that actually is a white bread. So I like to pick on Sarah, or we're going to pick on Sara Lee in the next couple slides, just because that's a pretty common brand. But she makes a honey wheat where it says the word wheat. You would think it'd be a good option, but it's actually refined or enriched flour. So marketing can say it's like a 7-seed bread. It can say it's a multi-grain. It can say it's a honey wheat, and it's not necessarily whole grain or whole wheat. Sometimes it's easier to look at the fiber. So 2 grams of fiber or more per serving is kind of another indicator of a whole grain or whole wheat, because a lot of those enriched, refined, or white breads or grains have 1 gram of fiber. But the recommendations make half your grains whole grain. So, if you like white rice, but you like whole grain bread, perfect. There's that 50-50. You don't have to make the swap to them all being whole grain. You certainly can. That's not going to hurt, but to still to be able to enjoy all foods. Or whether you want to do whole wheat pasta, so you can do white bread. Again, just kind of have those grains whole grain. So this is what you want to look at when you're looking at a label. So yeah, here's my Sara Lee honey wheat, which this is delicious. So if you want to continue consuming this, go for it. It would just count towards more of your white grains. So trying to finding other ways, whether that's like oatmeal or quinoa or brown rice, whole wheat pasta, to incorporate more of the whole grain. But you can see here the first ingredient says enriched, and the fiber is 1 gram. Sara Lee does have a 100% whole wheat, and this is actually a whole grain whole wheat, because you can see the first ingredient says whole, plus we have 2 grams of fiber. Okay. And then hydration. This is also something that's really important to keep in mind as we age, because aging increases the risk of dehydration. So we don't want to rely on thirst to let us know if we should drink more. Hydration is also going to be important for increasing our energy, keeping us full, relieving constipation. Because a lot of times, if we're struggling with constipation and we're trying to eat more fiber or take certain stool softeners and we're not getting enough water, we can't have things move through our system as we want them to. Plus, our taste buds change as we age, so we don't really want to rely on that thirst or our taste buds to kind of tell us that. So, just to develop a plan to maintain our fluids, whether it's carrying a water bottle, using a straw, using any water enhancers like Crystal Light, Mio, Propel, Gatorade Zero, adding lemon, carbonated water. If you're not a big artificial sweetener person, that's okay. They are safe to consume. But sometimes if you're like, I just don't like the aftertaste, you can maybe use a splash of regular juice to kind of dilute your water a bit. Or whether that's using fresh lemon, fresh fruits and vegetables like strawberries and cucumbers, or even those carbonated waters. A lot of those don't have artificial sweeteners. But the best way to know if you're getting enough water is a light yellow urine color. So we kind of want it to look like a nice lemonade, but we don't want it to look like apple juice, more of that dark yellow orangey. But that's about 64 ounces or 8 cups a day. It can definitely be a lot of water. So just working your way to it, just how can we gradually get that increased? We just want to watch our sugar sweetened beverages, like your soft drinks, like sodas, fruit juice, sports drinks, energy drinks. They just don't count towards water and they have a lot of added sugar. And too much added sugar is not good for our health overall. But the main thing here is just limit. You can still enjoy these. It's just how much and how can we add water in? Because if you're drinking a lot of soda, I don't want you just to think about how can I decrease my soda? It's how can I increase my water or using Crystal Light or Mio to get that in? Because what happens is our soda intake naturally decreases. So it's focusing on how we can get that water in and it'll naturally decrease itself. But for kind of this visual purposes, just to kind of show you how much added sugar really is in a lot of these beverages. Women need to limit added sugar to 6 teaspoons a day, and men need to limit added sugar to 9 teaspoons. So we're starting off with a bang here with soda, being really proactive. We're getting 6 teaspoons of added sugar in these. Fruit juices, about 10 teaspoons. Sports drinks like Gatorade, 15 teaspoons. And energy drinks can have up to 9. So again, just kind of watching our portions and how we can add that water on top of these. Want to give you guys some grocery shopping tips. So, we've really kind of dove into, what does healthy eating look like to fuel and nourish our body as we age, but to kind of help us apply this. So we have the quick, easy, convenient tips, but also to set you up for success when you're in the grocery store or navigating this. So planning out your meals each week, make a shopping list. This is going to help save money, keep you on track. Know what you have. Take inventory of what's in your pantry and fridge each week. Because sometimes it's, we think we have garlic powder, but we were actually out. So writing that down. But, herbs and spices and oils, that's may not something we have to buy every single week. So kind of keeping that list will keep you on track. And don't go hungry. Going to the grocery store all hungry, never ends, the best. So having a snack or a meal before you go, just to help reduce the temptation and pass on some of those tempting snack foods. So, as long as you're getting some nutritious options, of course, still enjoy all the foods that you love, but we just don't want the whole entire cart to be those things. Grocery shopping online. This has been around for a while now. Like Hy-Vee does the aisles online. You can do a 2-hour Target pickup. Walmart has the same thing as well. I think Sam's Club does it. So a lot of our grocery stores are offering grocery shopping online. You schedule time to go pick it up. I know Hy-Vee and Walmart, they deliver it to your house with a fee. The pickups are usually free, but to deliver it to your house, it's maybe like $10 or something. So especially if you kind of can't get out to the grocery store and do these things, doing a pickup or having it get delivered to your house. Meal prepping. So meal prepping can look a lot of different ways. To talk a little bit about it, meal prepping is the process of planning and preparing meals or recipes, then portioning it out into containers to create grab and go meals. It's very nice because it's convenient, efficient, reduces food waste. helps reduce the temptation to eat outside of your eating plan. Um, and it allows you to have healthy home cooked meals without having to cook every day. So one of the pros of meal prepping is, like, especially this last point, you don't have to cook every day to have a healthy meal. But meal prepping can look a lot of different ways. It can be you prep 3 lunches to have throughout the week. It doesn't have to be the extreme of you make 7 breakfast, 7 lunch, 7 dinner. But meal prepping, you probably are going to be, I would say, in the kitchen anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours. So sometimes that's not always feasible. Um, so it doesn't have to be the 7 meals. It can maybe be prepping like 3 things. I even consider meal prepping, if you're cooking dinner that night, just make more of what you already are making, because then that can make you have lunch maybe a day or 2 after that. And then there's something called batch cooking. It's a form of meal prepping that takes a lot less time in the kitchen, but it's kind of setting you up for success for having healthy meals. So this is making big batches of food or ingredients that you can use as components in future meals. Plus, this is really nice for people who don't like the same thing every day. So a good example here is, let's say you make a crock pot of chicken. One of my favorite ways is, three, 4 chicken breasts in a crock pot and a jar of salsa. That's it. Letting it sit there for about 4 hours on low. Or whether you put some chicken in the oven and you make that, or maybe just having some frozen chicken breast. You have a bunch of this chicken, and then you use it different ways throughout the week. So whether you do like a chicken salad day 1, chicken tacos day 2, a chicken soup day 3, you don't have to cook it again because it's already ready in your fridge. So it reduces leftover and meal prep burnout, reduces time in the kitchen and dishes used, and you get to enjoy more variety. And then we always have Meals on Wheels. This is an organization dedicated to addressing senior isolation and hunger. It enables seniors to live nourished lives with independence and dignity. And it's really awesome because they do deliver meals Monday through Friday. So put the link in here for you guys to check out. But you just search by your zip code and select the location that works best for you, because every location is different on eligibility requirements, meal cost, some offer partial subsides, and the contact information for your location. But this could be a really great option too to consider. And maybe it's a variety of things. Maybe it's you do Meals on Wheels, 3 days of the week, and then you're maybe doing some, healthy choice frozen meals, and then maybe you're doing some like canned chicken breast. So it can kind of be a little bit of hodgepodge of everything as well. Some recipes to check out that are kind of incorporated a lot of things that we talked about today, but really focused on just the importance of nutrition as we age. Some meal delivery services. So these are some nice balanced meals. I looked through all these, some really great options here. They're already made. You just put them in the microwave. I don't know if you guys are familiar with HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a good one, but they come pre-portioned, but you have to cook it still. So it's nice, but you're still spending some time in the kitchen. These you wouldn't have to, you don't have to do any cooking, you just microwave it. And then wanted to talk about kind of a couple just symptoms, or just things that can kind of happen to us as we age. And it's hard because everyone's so different. With everyone has different nutrition needs, medical needs. But as we age, it's really common for us to maybe lose our appetite a little bit. So if you struggle with poor appetite, and you struggle with keeping enough weight on, and you feel like you're losing weight, these would be some really great tips for you to consider. Um, Eating more small, frequent meals. So I know we talked about eating about every 2 to 5 hours during the day, but smaller meals are easier to digest than large amounts of meals of food. So maybe that's doing like, 5 small meals, or maybe 2 meals, 3 snacks versus 3 large meals in a day. So kind of maybe eating about every 2 to 3 hours versus maybe that 4 to 5 hour end. And then eating protein foods first. So if your appetite's not great and you're eating, maybe some rice, chicken, and a side salad, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not really hungry. What should I kind of prioritize? Prioritize your protein. So eating your meat, fish, eggs, dairy, beans, and nuts first, just to really help maintain that muscle mass, and then kind of eat whatever sounds good. If you know you're going to eat your whole plate, you don't have to eat protein first, but that's just to make sure that you're getting that in, and you maybe eat your vegetables and then realize you're full and done. And eating higher calorie foods. So I know this is going to go against what we kind of talked about, but that's the beauty of nutrition. It can definitely change depending on what we're trying to focus on. So doing more of a whole fat dairy can be a nice way to get a little bit more calories and nutrition without just having to eat more volume of things. And so cutting back saturated fats elsewhere is kind of the fine line of, you still need saturated fat. It's just a little bit goes a long way. So still making healthier choices elsewhere, but whole fat dairy could be a good option. Doing more of your nuts, seeds, avocados. So going back to more of those heart protective fats, you just get a lot more bang for your buck with fat containing foods. And eat the most when your appetite is best. A lot of people find their appetite is best at certain points in the day. Not always. I've talked to a lot of people. They say, I mean, I've had it all. I've heard it all. So people say sometimes their appetite's best in the morning. So have maybe a bigger breakfast, and then have your other meals a little smaller. Some people say their appetite's better at lunch. So kind of make that maybe a bigger meal. If you struggle with getting full really quickly and you're struggling to eat enough, possibly drink your fluid in between your meals. Just because we want to fill up on food instead of fluid. So sometimes drinking fluids about 30 minutes before you eat or 30 minutes after can kind of just help make more room for food. Adding gravies and sauces to meat, poultry, and side dishes. And sipping on beverages that contain more calories, like 100% fruit juices. I know we kind of talked about limiting juices, but if you are going to do juice, doing more of your 100% fruit juice versus the ones that have like 5% juice and a lot of added sugar, the 100% fruit juices don't have any added sugar. So those are kind of a nice middleman there. Sports drinks, milkshakes, nutrition supplements. There are so many different nutrition supplements out there, which is great. It's nice to have a little bit of a variety, but they all have a different purpose. So it's kind of knowing which shake that you necessarily need to try to meet your health goal. So if you have specific questions, please contact me. But in a general sense, if you're trying to focus with more poor appetite and weight gain, 1 to 2 supplements a day plus more. I mean, some people, they need up to 6 because they really just don't feel like eating. And this is just kind of a nice snack meal replacement. Typically anywhere, a supplement that's 150 to 300 calories per container, something with 15 to 30 grams of protein is one way to know the kind of an appropriate nutrition supplement here. Because there's all these brands. There's Boost, Ensure, all these other different brands that are out there. So you don't have to get the name brand, but maybe shooting for something that the 150 to 300 calories with 15 to 30 grams of protein is going to be a pretty good supplement. For weight gain, Premier, like Premier Protein, Fairlife, those are some great protein drinks, but a lot of times they're only giving you protein. So it's not giving you enough carbohydrates and fats to replace a whole meal. So you could do that. It's just replacing like the meat or the beans. So you'd maybe still want to add some grains and fruit with it. So Boost, they make a Boost Original, the second one in red, which is the same thing as Ensure Original, just 2 different brands. But they also make a plus version. So Ensure Plus, Boost Plus, those are nice because they're the same size, but they have more calories and more nutrition. So that's kind of a nice swap for just to kind of maximize any little wiggle room we have. So you're not just eating more. If you're really watching your blood sugars, they make Boost Glucose Control and Glucerna. And you can get these at most grocery stores, CVS, Walgreens, Sam's Club, Amazon, Costco, the hospital, North Kansas City Hospital. They have these. We have them in our outpatient pharmacy for really, really cheap. You just have to call ahead of time to make sure they can order it. But yeah, the most recent one, you can get like a 24 containers of Boost Plus and Original for $10, which is insanely cheap. So if this is something you're using a lot of, consider calling the hospital pharmacy. But wherever you can get them the cheapest, keep doing what you're doing. But just to let you know, there's some options because sometimes buying them in the 4-pack at the grocery store can get a little bit pricey. Taste change. This is really common as we age too. We talked about the hydration. Our taste buds are going to change. So if you're struggling with this, eating foods that are bland to start, and then you can add the flavor. You can't take flavor away. And trying colder foods to start, since hot foods can have a strong taste. Add seasonings to flavor your food. Using sour candies, mints, or gum before and after meals if your mouth is dry. And this last one's silly, but it works. Brushing your teeth regularly and using mouthwash, kind of like that palate cleanser. So just kind of maybe some fun hacks to try there. But definitely we want to enjoy the flavor of our foods, but we do want to use more of our herbs and spices to flavor our foods versus adding too much salt, just because too much salt's not good for blood pressure and our organ health. So garlic powder is good, regular pepper, onion powder, cinnamon, chili powder, dill, any of those are great. They make a lot of salt-free seasoning blends out there, like Mrs. Dash, McCormick's, whatever off-brand. But my big piece of advice with using these is you have to add it to your food and then heat it up. So if you've ever been in a hospital and they've given you a packet of Mrs. Dash on your meal tray, it's very sweet of them, but you're not going to get much flavor out of it because it's dehydrated and it needs the moisture from the cooking. And don't be shy. If you're cooking something, really loaded up, it's just a bunch of herbs and spices. And I'll go back to that one. Salt substitutes. So if you've ever seen like the no salt salt or the 50% sodium, or something that's crystallized salt looking, but it says it's not salt, those are potassium-based salts. So I would just talk to your doctor before using any potassium-based salt substitute, just because too much potassium can be hard on our heart and kidneys. So just talking to your provider, because that could be a good option for you, or they may tell you just to use regular salt and cut back on how much. But your herbs and spices, those are a good option. Keeping active. This is definitely important. We just want to find ways to stay active, to manage our stress, keep our mind and body feeling good, because being active really does help reduce the risk of falls and helps maintain our balance. And all movement's good movement. There's not an exercise that's better than another. It's what do you enjoy and what you can kind of keep up with and do safely. The goal is about 150 minutes a week, or that's about 30 minutes of 5 days a week. But you can get it in with, 5-minute increments or 2-hour increments, whatever works for your schedule. There's a little bit extra benefit if you can get a little bit of resistance training in. So using your body weight, whether that's like stairs or stretchy bands, or just, sitting in a chair, standing up and sitting back down in the chair. So using, our body weight, but I want you to do movement that you enjoy and that you can do safely. Give you some ideas on how to increase our movement, whether that's yoga, walk, stretch, bike, yard work, water aerobics, online workout videos, parking further away from the grocery store, taking the stairs versus the elevator, stretchy bands, chair exercises, playing a sport, dancing, just really kind of thinking, how can I move my body in a way that I like, and that I'm not going to hurt, my ankles or my knees or my hip or my back, or my arm. And I love this slide because I feel like we often think of exercise as a punishment, or something we just have to do, and it's just not this fun, enjoyable thing. But there's just so many great benefits of exercise. It's not necessarily because we have to do it or because, it's going to be good for a certain weight. It's going to help with our bone strength, increase stress tolerance. It decreases our blood pressure, reduces risk for many types of chronic diseases, increased heart and lung strength, increased metabolism, better appetite regulation, improved mood and memory, better sleep at night, more energy, and improved balance, and so many more things. So I know we've definitely talked about a lot today, and I see we have some great questions I'll get to in a second. But just really overall, that, knowing that nutrition and health is not a one size fits all approach. Everyone is different in what works for them. So it's finding what works best for you. So not that you have to do every little thing we talked about today, but just kind of view it as here's a bunch of different ideas and pick and choose what sounds good to you and focus on progress, not perfection. Because we don't have to have a perfect diet to be healthy. So having this unrealistic expectation from the start isn't doing anyone any good. But remember, change occurs slowly. We don't need to do all this at once. So set those small measurable goals that are practical for you. And what's healthy for you is also healthy for your family. I mean, really, this is kind of general healthy eating from ages 2 and up. Definitely, a little bit more focus on as we age. But really, this isn't going to hurt anyone else to maybe enjoy a little bit more vitamin D, calcium, things like that. Call me, email me with anything you need. If you have a question after today, call me. Let me know how I can help. You'll be getting this PowerPoint. But if you or anyone would benefit, you think, from seeing a registered dietitian, the hospital does offer one-on-one appointments, in person, telehealth. All you need is an order from your doctor.
Okay, we do have a lot of questions tonight in
Yeah.
the chat, so I'm going to start back at the beginning of the program. What do you mean by processed cheese? Is block cheese okay?
Block cheese is fine. Processed cheese is like, the delicious canned cheese, like your American cheese. But really, whether it's Swiss, block cheese, pepper jack, it's all the same. Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe I heard full fat dressing in limited amounts helps you absorb the vitamins in a salad or something along those lines.
Yes. So fat containing foods do help us absorb vitamins and minerals. So I would say if you get like a fat-free salad dressing, it's going to be lower on the fat. But as long as you're incorporating other fat containing foods in your diet, you can either do a full fat salad dressing or a low fat. It's just kind of how do you want to spend your fats?
Okay. And then I do have another different question. What about low fat or skim cheeses?
Those are fine. If you want to do the low fat cheeses, just some people don't like the texture, but doing more of the low fat to reduce fat cheeses can be a nice way to, even consume a little less saturated fat.
Okay, then a question about the vitamin D testing. Many insurances don't include vitamin D testing unless there's a problem, I've heard.
So this is where you go to your doctor and you say, hey, how can we check my vitamin D? I know it's important as I age. So having the conversation with your doctor, because yeah, there's certain ways they can code it, bill it to make it a medical necessity versus just doing a vitamin D. I would think nutrition as we age is definitely enough reason to check our vitamin D. Whether you say I'm at an increased risk for falls just as I age, or something along the lines of that should be enough medical necessity, but just talk to your doctor because insurance is different. Every healthcare system's different.
Okay, low fat yogurt tends to have as much sugar in it as a can of pop.
So when you really look at the sugar, and that's kind of a common misconception is doing like low fat yogurt, low fat cottage cheese, they're going to add a bunch more sugar. And that's definitely not always the case. So if you're looking at like a strawberry yogurt, it is going to have a lot of added sugar. So doing more of like the plain low fat and then sweeten it yourself would be a great option there. If it's changing from like a couple grams, that's not a significant amount. But women should limit added sugar to about 25 grams a day and men 36 grams a day. So sometimes it's also what kind of products are you comparing? But definitely if you can, because a lot of those fruit flavored yogurts just have a lot of added sugar anyway.
Okay, this is back to the insurance question. I experienced that too with Medicare and supplemental insurance of not being covered when I requested it. It seems that it should be covered and encouraged since it is so important. My doc agreed when I requested, but warned me of that. Okay.
So I would say maybe call your doctor, ask how they're going to do, like what's the medical diagnosis going to be in your chart. Ask your doctor, how is there a way they can kind of put that in your chart as like medical code, medical necessity, and then go back to your insurance and ask, well, because I have this, will it be covered now? I know some insurances only will let you take like vitamin D once a year, or vitamin D twice a year. You can't just get it anytime. So I would say you got to be your own healthcare advocate nowadays. It's really frustrating, but I would say just bug your doctor, bug your insurance, and figure out a way if there's a way around it. And call me, email me with questions. I'm happy to kind of just provide any guidance that I can with this because I get it. It's really frustrating.
Oh, we had a request for your salmon patty recipe.
Oh, I just get the frozen salmon patties. It's I don't even know the brand. It's just like, and I just get in the frozen section at Costco. I've also seen them at Hy-Vee, most grocery stores. They're just a normal salmon patty frozen. And then I just think I just do the package instructions, which is like 4 minutes aside, and that's it.
Okay,
Really good.
a class on some quick and simple healthy recipes would be great too, if you ever have time. Good to know in the future. I also did put a link to our catalog. I just searched for quick and healthy recipes and I got a whole bunch of cookbooks. So that's in the chat. Okay, now this, I'm not sure. I have the, oh, it's
Yeah.
I have that catch-up problem, usually junk at late at night.
I mean, me too. I mean, if it's been a crazy busy day and I haven't had time to think about food, that means we're a normal human being. So it's just kind of being mindful that, okay, just being mindful to have snacks prepared if it's going to be a crazy day or to have maybe some lunch prepared. But yeah, that's your body working as it should. It's that biological response.
Okay, is there any of the flavor additives that are not so sweet?
Yeah, because you have like sucralose, stevia. A lot of people like stevia. But I would say everyone's taste buds are so different. So it's kind of hard to say. You're going to have to kind of try a couple and see what you think. Um, I really like those water enhancers, that the liquid Neos or the liquid Crystal Lights versus the powder packets, because I don't like very heavily sweet things. So I just squirt a little bit in there to dilute it a little bit, but it's not like as sweet as a normal packet of Crystal Light would be. So that could be something you could try.
Okay, which oils should we reduce, avoid in foods in cooking? And then palm, soy, coconut, or seed oils.
Yes, your tropical oils like your palm oil, coconut oils. Um, so yes, we do want to limit the tropical like palm oils. Kind of that back to the anything salt at room temp is kind of a good visual there. But so pretty much all the other ones, olive oil is great, avocado oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, peanut oil, safflower oil. It's just the cooking temperatures. So olive oil doesn't really do great at anything beyond 350. So that's where more of a vegetable oil, canola oil, peanut oil, avocado oil, they do better at high temperatures. So that's kind of where the main difference is.
Okay, could you repeat exactly how to do chicken in salsa? I think you said.
Yes.
You are fabulous. You are a fabulous wealth of information and inspiration, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. Yes, this is my favorite recipe. So I just take however many chicken breasts fit in my crock pot. So first I put a jar of salsa in my crock pot on low, just literally throw my jar of salsa. And then I just layer 3 to 4 chicken breasts on top and close my lid and then put it on low for 4 hours. And then I temp my chicken just to make sure it's reached 165. But yeah, just a jar of salsa and chicken on any day of the week. And you can also, or put, yeah, it's kind of, well, no, I think just Google it to be safe and temper your chicken. But I think the recipe technically says like maybe high for this many hours, low for this many hours. I found low for 4 hours. My chicken's cooked for me. So if you want to, rush the time a little bit, put it on high.
Okay, how does Hungry Roots stack up as a food delivery?
I was just looking at them.
Mhm.
Hungry. Where's that question?
Oh, wait, I think it accidentally went directly to me. Yeah.
Oh, to you?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I would say. And so when you're kind of looking at something like that, I've heard of Hungry Root. Go back to that plate method. And that's something else too with like those frozen meals. If there's a frozen meal that just has chicken and rice, maybe, serve a vegetable with it. So kind of use that plate method to distinguish, is there any component that's missing from this meal that I could add to this? So that's something you can kind of check out to kind of compare it to. But I've heard good things about Hungry Root.
Are there natural salts in herbs and spices?
No. And if you want to look at the back of the label, it should tell you if there's like sodium or salt in the ingredients. Um, I had a nice rude awakening with, oh, what's it called? The lemon one, lemon pepper
Hmm.
seasoning. It says lemon and pepper. I would not think there would be salt and lemon pepper seasoning. And I turn it over and there was sodium in the ingredients. So something like that, it could be a little sneaky, but like with those typical seasoning blends, there should no be natural salts. If it is, it'll be in the ingredients.
Okay. What is the ideal number of carb servings per day?
That is definitely that's very individualized. It's definitely based off more someone's like height, weight, medical conditions, how often we eat. So if you would like to know that more personalized, just give me an email. If you want to email me with height, weight, um, yeah, I can kind of individualize that more for you. Because I've seen people be anywhere from 150 carbs to 350 carbs a day. So it's very dependent.
Then someone recommended a Yuka, Y-U-K-A app has helped me tremendously swap out items when shopping. I scan and the app compares label and makes healthier suggestions. That's interesting.
Yeah, yucca. I call it the yucca. I don't know
Yeah.
how you actually pronounce it.
Yeah.
So yes, I've heard a lot about this app. And so I would say there's pros and cons to the app. It's definitely it tells you how to make some healthier swaps, but it can sometimes be a little too harsh on foods that don't have enough evidence-based research to say you have to avoid these things. And so I would say take it with a grain of salt. If it's definitely helping you make healthier options, fantastic, that's what it's for. But yeah, I would say sometimes it's too harsh on things that we don't have enough evidence to say that this is something you need to avoid.
And then about 2 months, I think 2 months ago, I added kimchi and fermented foods for improving gut microbe health.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely those type of fermented foods are great for building up our good bacteria in our gut. So that's awesome.
Okay, one would think that most people covered by Medicare are older and would usually be more likely to experience falls and less able to absorb nutrients, et cetera, and would seem natural that older individuals may be vitamin D deficient, certainly over 65.
Yeah.
Prevention is better than having to be reactive.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, then we have one person say, hi, ask your doctor to include the vitamin D test with your yearly physical that Medicare covers and
Thank you.
save government on medical costs. Um, okay, a product called True Lemon and True Lime is great for flavoring water at no sugar at all, available at Walmart.
Yep. Yeah. I've heard a lot of great things about that product. So yes, that's a good one.
Wow. I think we're at the end of our questions. I do want to remind everyone, we are recording this, and as soon as our virtual program producer gets it on YouTube, I will send out the link. I also will send out the PowerPoint attached as an attachment. And I think that might be it for tonight. I think we've answered all the questions. I thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, May 13th, Heart Healthy Eating on the Go. Thank you so much, Lindsay. It was really interesting tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.